The Story of Gideon and the 300, a tale of God's power. Long ago, in a time when the Israelites had forgotten God and done evil in his sight, their enemies, the Midianites, swept through the land like a swarm of locusts. These invaders destroyed crops, stole livestock, and left the Israelites hiding in caves and mountain dens. For 7 long years the people suffered, until they cried out to the Lord, and God in his mercy answered. But he didn't send a mighty warrior or a king. He chose Gideon, a humble man threshing wheat in secret, hiding from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty man of valor," Gideon looked around, confused. "Me? Mighty? But I'm the least in my family, and my clan is the weakest." But God saw not who Gideon was, but what he could become. With trembling faith, Gideon agreed. He tore down idols, rebuilt an altar to the true God, and sent word across the land for warriors to rise, and they did. 32,000 men gathered under Gideon's command, ready to fight for freedom. But then, God said something that must have shaken Gideon to his core. "You have too many men. If I let you win with this army, Israel will boast and say, 'We did it ourselves.'" So Gideon gathered the men and declared, "Whoever is afraid, go home." And just like that, 22,000 men walked away. Only 10,000 remained. But God wasn't done. "Still too many," he said. He led Gideon to the water for a final test. As the men drank, some knelt and put their faces in the stream. Others stayed alert, scooping water with their hands to their mouths. God told Gideon, "Choose the ones who drank with their hands." Gideon counted. 1, 2, 300. That's it. From 32,000 to 300. And these were the ones God would use to defeat a vast army. That night, as fear crept into Gideon's heart, God said, "If you are afraid, go down to the enemy camp and listen." So Gideon crept close and overheard 2 enemy soldiers talking. One described a strange dream, a loaf of bread tumbling into the Midianite camp and knocking it down. The other replied, "That can only mean Gideon will defeat us." Gideon's heart ignited with faith. He rushed back to his camp and shouted, "Get up! The Lord has given the Midianites into our hands." But here's the most remarkable part. Gideon didn't arm his men with swords or shields. Instead, each of the 300 men carried a torch, a jar, and a trumpet. In the dark of night, they surrounded the Midianite camp. At Gideon's signal, they smashed their jars, raised their torches, blew their trumpets, and cried, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" The Midianites woke in terror. Confused, disoriented, and panicked, they turned on each other in the darkness. Without even lifting a sword, Gideon's 300 saw their enemy flee in chaos. Moral lessons from the story. 1. God uses the unlikely to do the incredible. Gideon was a fearful farmer, not a general, but God chose him to lead. You don't need to be qualified, you just need to be willing. 2. Less is more in God's hands. 300 men were all God needed to win a battle. Don't be discouraged by small numbers, weak resources, or humble beginnings. God's power shines brightest in our weakness. 3. Faith grows step by step. God didn't expect Gideon to be fearless right away. He reassured him at every step. God will meet you where you are and build your courage over time. 4. Victory belongs to the Lord. The strategy was not about weapons, it was about obedience and trust. God fights for those who follow him. Advice for you today. If you feel small, scared, or unprepared, remember Gideon. God may strip away your army so that you lean on him, not your own strength. Trust God's voice, even when it challenges your logic. The battle may look overwhelming, but with God, you are never outnumbered. A short prayer. Lord, when I feel weak, remind me of Gideon. Remind me that you see strength in me even when I don't. Teach me to trust you, especially when things don't make sense. Use my life to show your power. In Jesus' name, amen.